The fact that only the default Mii sizes are legal is dumb. When Smash 4 first came out, a very pertinent discussion was that of the legality of customs. It was tested out a lot in the game's first year, the biggest tournament allowing them being Smash 4's first Evo. Mii fighters, along with the rest of the cast, were allowed to use their custom moves as well. The thing with the Miis, as you all know, is that their moves aren't the only thing that you can customize. You can also customize basically their range, survivability, frame data, and speed, all by adjusting their height and weight. And the tournaments that allowed custom moves allowed this as well. Let's fast forward now to 2017. Since then, a lot of time passed and a lot of tournaments were held, and as the metagame got further developed, it became the consensus that for the purpose of competitive play, custom moves really shouldn't be allowed. That decision and the reasons behind it could be discussed for as long as another video, so I won't focus on it, but I wonder if some people still think customs should be completely legal. Anyway, they were disallowed, which I think made sense, and they've been disallowed for quite a while now, but what for me personally became kind of clouded, a forgotten issue that no one talked about too much, was the state of the Mii fighters. I assumed that after the loss of customs, people didn't really care too much about them at all. Well, I can't say that's true for sure, but what quietly became the standard after the consensual banning of customs was that the only Mii fighters allowed were the default size Miis with their 1-1-1 moveset. The new 2017 no duck hunt rule set says so as well. It's interesting, they were in a kind of different position than the regular cast. Customs were a bigger part of what they were. They came with the customs. They were based on the fact that it was you. You could bring in your Mii and it could be you on the stage fighting among and against your favorite Nintendo characters. But regardless, when you talk about competitive gameplay, all characters need to be treated equally. No character can have an advantage over the other, and being able to have the best possible move in your moveset would be an advantage that the other characters wouldn't have. Also, it makes your character more unpredictable because the opponent doesn't know what moves you have until they see them. So I think it makes sense that they only be allowed their standard moveset. The same things could be said for their sizes, but why is the default size the one that's allowed? I've been talking about this in the most informative and detailed way I can, but all I can say right here is, why are they only allowed in their default size? Why isn't the available size a better one? They fucking suck in their default size. The amount of follow-ups and movement that they lose, how much their frame data worsens, is just ridiculous. I have no other word for it. Like, you gotta play a few matches with a completely small Mii, just a few, and then switch to playing with the default one, so you'll see. They lose short hop auto cancels, throw follow-ups, spacing because their aerial mobility sucks. It's dumb. You know, Smash has always usually favored speed over power. Power is awesome, but if you don't have a certain amount of speed to go along with it, you're quite hindered as a character. It happens the same way with Miis, but by 1,000. Because the bigger Miis aren't just worse based on the metagame, they're objectively worse. Their lag becomes worse than Ganon's, and they don't even get that much range or power to make up for it. You would think it would be more like Sheik and Bowser. Imagine they were like the same character. Sheik is better because, like I said, the metagame favors speed. But Bowser is still a cool, usable, metagame valuable character that has amazing survivability, really early kill confirms, and more range. That's how they should have fucking balanced out the sizes for the Miis. But no, just the standard size, not even the bigger ones. Just that one removes so much speed that the characters become contenders for the worst in the game. And I mean, I get the fat ones, but what does being taller make you slower? That makes absolutely no sense. They're so obviously worse than the regular characters, it makes me think it was kind of on purpose. They were like, well, we can't have people pick up a Mii and it's better than this established character of ours with their backstory and their lore. Your Mii needs to be customized with that weird gear system nobody's ever used. But it honestly just sucks because restricting the Mii sizes to the default makes them a very worse version of their character compared to what they can actually be. Now, what do I suggest? I don't think you should play with whatever size you want. That comes back to what I mentioned earlier. It's unfair to have one character be able to customize itself and one character not. I think only one size should be allowed, and I think that size should be the shortest and thinnest Mii for all three fighters. I know some people prefer other sizes. I personally like the all fat, all short gunner because making him fat doesn't cost him that much mobility, and his jumps are shorter, making his short hop fair more effective. I think I read some people like thin 1/4 height on their sword fighter, which I don't really know too much about. Nobody goes against all small Mii brawler though, because everyone knows that's cheese. I think the compromise, however, needs to arrive at the all small Mii, meaning completely thin, completely short for every fighter. First of all, I'm sure every single Mii fighter player would prefer that over the default size, and I think that might actually just be the best for everyone. I find that nothing makes characters better than speed and frame data, and the all small Mii does wonders for both those things. Honestly, you can do tons of awesome things with the all small Mii fighters, and there's tons of awesome things about them, which I'll get into later. Also, for the sake of convenience, it would be easier for everyone to just make one Mii like that in their Wii, and then they have the legal Mii available for every Mii fighter. And that's kind of why this hasn't been done in the first place. People care so little about the Mii fighters that even that is too much of a hassle for them. Like, nah, just use the ones that are there, asshole, I ain't making shit for you. But it's really an extremely simple thing to make that Mii. The only reason people don't do it is because it's not the legal size, so there's no reason to. And the reason I think that TOs wouldn't make it the legal form, even if it was presented to them, is because tons of people don't have it on their Wii. So it would have to kind of become a thing, you know? Maybe in a tournament, Wiis would have to be brought back to the menu because it turns out they didn't have that Mii or something. It's like a vicious cycle, but all you'd really need for it to break is to just implement the rule. If that happened, a few months later, every Wii, even Wiis that have never been used in the tournament before, Wiis of people that have never played with Miis in their life, will have that Mii created because that's just how it works. All players, even the lowest experienced players, emulate tournament play. I mean, unless they're purposefully playing casual. Tournament rules equal the rules of the game in its most competitive state. The official game rules, the game how it's meant to be played if all was on the line. And that's how people like to play if they're taking the game even the tiniest bit seriously. I mean, tell me, how many of you removed Duck Hunt and Lilat from your random stages a few weeks ago, and then put Lilat back in once they brought it back? And once the rule is accepted throughout the community, it will give these better Miis the competitive validity they deserve, and not just something you pick for fun in someone's house to fuck around. So I honestly think that's the way to go, changing the ruling. Some people might say, why? Who cares? There's a ton of characters to choose from and they're just Miis. Yeah, but they're still characters and they're different characters than the rest of them. Making them small actually makes them useful and fun to use, so much more fun compared to the defaults. Regarding competitive play specifically, you can really never have too much variety. Back when I used to go to tournaments, I used MK and Palutena, but I wanted a different character to pick up, a character that had quicker moves up close, with more aerial mobility, with tilts and falling aerials that led into combos, and since everybody under the fucking sun uses Mario, I didn't want to use him. Small Mii Brawler gave me another option, a character similar to that one, though far from the same, but still good. A character I enjoyed much more. I was using him a bunch before and practicing different combos until I realized it was illegal, so I mean, I just used Mario. He's also pretty cool, I guess. And related to the they're just Miis argument, the thing about Smash is that there's little lore to it. I mean, some people have awesome character loyalty from previous childhood games, which is cool, but mostly we play characters because of how they play. Because what's fun is the gameplay. Like, Palutena is an awesome character and I love her, but I've never fucking played Kid Icarus. I'd never heard of her until Brawl. I play her because I like how she plays, I find her fun to use. And it's the same with the Mii fighters. They're just Miis, yeah, but you can fall in love with how they specifically play and enjoy that. And I guess this could happen with their default versions, but that's hard because really shitty characters aren't as fun. Some are, like I find Ganon and Jigs, they can be pretty fun. But when you have a character with shitty movement and no follow-ups, it's unlikely you'll enjoy it for long. Maybe some people do, but they're less fun. I mean, I find that a character's effectiveness is directly related to how fun they are. And that gameplay argument I think applies for everyone. I think most of us use our main because of how they play, not who they are. I mean, eventually it's a mix of both things. If you use a character because of how they play, you'll begin to like who they are and vice versa. But it usually starts with how they play. It usually starts with winning a match with a character and being like, damn, I just kicked ass. I'm pretty good with this person, they're awesome. It's pretty unusual for people to stick with their favorite character if they don't like how they play. That's an interesting question to ask. If gameplay was out of the question, purely because of how much you liked a character, or the connection you have with them or whatever, which character would you main and why? Mine would be Luigi. I used to play tons of Mario games as a kid, and Luigi was always my guy. Like Mario Strikers, Mario Baseball, Mario Party, Mario Kart, I always went with Luigi. It's funny because people always see him as like the lamer version of Mario who lives in the shadow and shit, but I always thought of him as like the cooler brother, because you always play as Mario and it was something different, and he could jump higher. One of my favorite things about Mario Galaxy was that you could replay the game as Luigi at the end. He was actually my main for a while, and I still enjoyed playing him, but he's just not my bread and butter competitive-wise. Fuck, I ramble too much. I'm here to talk about the Miis. Anyway, my final point is that the Miis are awesome if they're small. Mii Brawler is fucking ridiculous. His aerial movement and movement in general is just insane. I think it would be like the best movement in the entire game. And he has amazing frame data that leads into complex follow-ups. But he gets balanced out by being very weak. He has up tilt strings, you know, he can get long multi-hit combos, but they never lead to a killer that much percent. Kinda like Sheik. He lacks a lot of kill options in his 1-1-1-1 form. I mean, he can get a raw side B like Falcon or a raw F smash, but obviously those aren't very safe. He does have a few things though, like nair to up smash and short hop down air. His mobility and lack of lag make him very safe. He can go in and out quickly and also run away quickly. He really has most of the characteristics that make characters great. Some more flaws include no aerials that kill, very little range. Oh, and also his recovery can be super exploitable because his up B doesn't snap to the ledge, so that fucks him up quite a bit. But most of the time his movement makes up for these things. I'd put him in high tier at least. I think a skilled player could really maximize his character and his movement, putting him in the top of high tier, maybe even in top tier, depending on the range of your tiers. Mii Sword Fighter, I think it's the most slept on in its small 1-1-1-1 form. Most sword users' best quality is their range and spacing, but small sword fighter works more like a brawler type of character. He does have a bit of disjoint in range, but his sword is tiny, so not really. Kinda like Meta Knight in that sense. I'd say he's very similar to Brawler, but he's slower all around with less multi-hit combos. However, he's got more range and more guaranteed kill options. His up air is insane. It can kill so early with rage. And down throw up air is either a confirm or a lethal 50-50. He can also get down tilt to up air, falling up air to up air, and just a lot of cool little 2 to 3 hit combos. He has a good auto cancel nair he can throw out, his smashes are all super powerful, and he's really tons of fun to play. Might be my favorite of the 3 right now. He also has pretty great frame data and a better recovery. His up B is like clouds, but it snaps to the ledge, and you can actually spike someone with it, so it can be dangerous to mess with. He has a counter, which is always good. I'm not sure, he could be high tier as well, but it's hard to know if he has enough to put him there. He could just be mid tier. The worst of the three, in my opinion, is Me Gunner. He provides an alternative for the available projectile characters that is just so cool because of his fair. His fair is so much fun. It's like Villagers, but I enjoy it more because you can land with it and get follow-ups. He also has like a Samus charge shot that creates a lot of pressure for people trying to approach, and he can kind of counter other projectile characters because he has a pretty good reflector. The fact that he's small gives him more mobility so he can move around while he camps, makes that end with his fair that gives like a little boost back, and he's a good camper. His up air lasts through some air dodges, his nair is good, similar to sword fighters. He has some cool stuff, but he's the worst of the three, because he has little else than these camping tools I've just mentioned. He's got no throw follow-ups, no real spacing moves besides fair, his attacks are the laggiest of the three, and he really struggles to kill. His charge shot is super weak compared to Samus's, so besides like a raw F smash, which isn't even that strong, all he has is like up smash out of shield. Although his up B moves the most out of the three Miis, like the most distance, it has no hitbox going up, which can be an issue. I'd put him in low tier to be honest, or maybe bottom of mid tier, which might make some people say, well, then whatever, what's the point, he sucks anyway. And I mean, not really. People say Duck Hunt is low tier, or like Roy, and people get results and do cool things with those characters. I think this game is super balanced, so just because he's in the worst half of the game doesn't mean he's that bad. And that's my opinion on the whole shebang. I know obviously that nothing will change because of this video, and the rules for Miis will probably remain the same, and nobody will really cry over that because nobody cares, but I just wanted to throw out my 2 cents and say it is kind of dumb. Thanks for listening. Peace!